back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a concept deeply rooted in Kenneth Blanchard and Norman Vincent Peale's exploration of ethical management. And it revolves around a single, often entirely misunderstood word: patience. Now, in our modern corporate world, we're literally conditioned to move fast, right? Speed is celebrated. Agility is the ultimate buzzword. But when it comes to building an ethical, sustainable framework for management, ethics simply has no shortcuts. So we're going to slow down our pace today, very deliberately, to examine exactly why taking a breath might just be the most powerful business move you can make.
Let's shatter a major myth right out of the gate. We all tend to picture patience as this kind of passive thing, right? Like someone just sitting around, twiddling their thumbs, letting the world happen to them. But based on our source material, the reality is the exact opposite. Patience is not a passive virtue. It is the most active, the most difficult, and frankly, the most disciplined decision a manager can possibly make. It's the intense, deliberate act of choosing to wait, to hold your ground, precisely in that white-hot moment when everyone around you is screaming for an immediate answer. It's literally looking at a room full of panicked people and calmly saying, "No, not today, not this quarter, because I know what this is worth in the long run."
Which brings us to our first core concept, the illusion of quick wins.
You see, the absolute greatest illusion in management is that hasty decisions actually win. And hey, sure, maybe they win for a fleeting moment. You get that quick win, you appease a really loud client, you hit some arbitrary Friday deadline, you patch the software just to shove it out the door. But those quick, often ethically gray shortcuts, they trigger what the authors call the long tax. Hasty decisions always come with a tax bill, and it always comes due later. You end up paying a human tax in the form of extreme burnout and lost trust. You pay a systemic tax when that rushed Band-Aid infrastructure eventually collapses. And worst of all, you pay a reputational tax that can literally sink your entire organization.
To really visualize this economic reality, just think about the trajectory over time. A quick win shoots straight up in those first 6 months. Everyone's popping champagne and celebrating. But then, because that entire foundation was built on sand, it faces a steep vertical drop. Now compare that to a patient strategy. Yeah, it starts slower. It absolutely requires taking some hits from people who want those immediate spikes. But fast forward to year 2, and then out to year 5. The patient ethical approach doesn't just catch up, it multiplies. It ends up being literally 5 times higher. So the takeaway here is crystal clear. Hasty decisions might win the short game, but patience absolutely dominates the long game.
So we really need to redefine this term for ourselves. Patience is absolutely not a delay tactic. It is not a waste of time. Patience is a proactive financial and operational investment. Think of it like this. When you choose to be patient, you're investing your time and energy into building something right the very first time. You're making sure it doesn't have to be painstakingly repaired, apologized for, or just completely dismantled down the road. You're front-loading all that effort to protect yourself against massive systemic failures later on.
Moving right along to our next section, concentrated strength. In their writings on ethical power, the authors highlight this absolutely incredible quote from Edward Bulwer Lytton. He wrote, "Patience is not passive. On the contrary, it is concentrated strength." I really want you to just let that land for a second. Concentrated strength. It flips the whole dynamic on its head, doesn't it? You aren't yielding to the situation by waiting, you're actually overpowering it with incredible discipline.
Let's actually picture what this concentrated strength looks like in action. Imagine you're standing right in the center of the chaos. You can clearly see the pressure mounting. You hear the voices, your boss, your team, your shareholders, all demanding now, now, now. And you know what? You aren't ignoring them. You're fully aware of them. Yet, amidst all that deafening noise, you deliberately choose to wait. And you don't just wait blindly. You wait because you know exactly why you're waiting. You're holding the line for a standard of quality and ethics that all those panicking voices have temporarily forgotten.
Okay, let's get into how we actually do this in Section 3, the field of patience.
Look, first things first, we have to accept a really hard truth. The pressure, it does not magically disappear. The yelling crowd is still going to yell. Those emails are still going to be marked as urgent with a big red exclamation point. Your goal with patience is not to eliminate the pressure. Because, well, you can't. Your goal is to build a protective barrier around your own judgment. Patience simply creates a designated, protected space where a genuinely good ethical decision can actually be formed.
And here is exactly how you construct that protective field, step by actionable step. It's a highly operational discipline.
Step 1. When the demand hits you, mandate 5 seconds of silence before you even open your mouth. Just 5 seconds to stop that knee-jerk reaction, even if it feels like a totally awkward eternity to everyone staring at you. Step 2. For major decisions, demand 1 full night of sleep. The perspective shift between 4 p.m. on a Tuesday and 8 a.m. on a Wednesday is honestly monumental. And step 3, have 1 conversation with a trusted ally, someone totally outside the immediate blast zone of the crisis who can look at the situation objectively. 5 seconds, 1 night, 1 conversation. That right there is your field of patience.
Let's put this into practice with our final concept, the 24-hour rule. I want to challenge you right now. Think of your inbox. Think of your biggest current project. I want you to bring to mind 1 specific decision or problem that you feel is desperately, intensely urgent right this very second. The one that's literally giving you a knot in your stomach as we speak. Okay, have you got it?
Good. Now apply the field of patience to it and ask yourself this ultimate pressure testing question. What actually happens to this issue if you do not respond? If you wait exactly 24 hours? And I don't mean what does your anxiety tell you will happen, but practically, objectively, what is the true real-world consequence of a 24-hour pause?
Well, here is the punchy reality check that veteran ethical managers eventually learn. Most often, absolutely nothing. The world does not end. The company does not fold. That 24-hour waiting period is your daily practice of patience. It's a tiny, powerful ritual that protects you from making a catastrophic, irreversible error just because someone else was feeling panicked. You regain your concentrated strength.
At the end of the day, to manage ethically, you have to be willing to trade the cheap applause of the quick win for the quiet, compounding growth of the right decision. And that absolutely requires mastering your own patience. Next time on The Explainer, we're going to explore persistence, how to relentlessly maintain your ethical standard when that pressure inevitably rises all over again. But until then, I want you to look at the most urgent fire burning in your business right now and ask yourself, are you building a legacy or are you just trying to survive until Friday?